everyone, it's Caris. Today I'm going to be talking about my university reading list for my second semester of third year. This is such a bittersweet video for me to be filming because this is my last ever university reading list video that I'm going to be doing. I honestly cannot believe that I've been doing these videos since back when I was in first year, and now I'm in my last stretch of being a university student. So because in this semester I'm also going to be doing a dissertation, I'm only being taught on one module, and that module is children's literature. It's honestly one of the ones I've been most excited about ever since I first went to university. So because this module is 11 weeks long and some weeks I have 2 or 3 books to read, I'm just going to get into showing you what those books are. I'm not really going to go into too much detail about them all because hopefully I'll be featuring them all in wrap-ups coming soon. Week 1 is an introduction, and we're sort of just going to be talking about what is children's literature, and for that week we're going to be reading Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This was my first book that I read this year, so I have already finished it. It was really nice to be able to experience it in its original format because I've only ever seen the Disney film before, and it's very different in places. This is definitely a lot darker, but I did really enjoy that aspect as well, and I think it was a really nice one to start the module off with. Week 2 is called Early Children's Literature, and for this we're reading a book which you can only see the title of on the spine, called The Governess, and I believe it's also known as The Little Female Academy by Sarah Fielding. All that I know about this is that it takes place in like a girls' boarding school, and I think it's written in the mid 1700s. I had to read books from that time period in a module last year and didn't really enjoy them on the whole, but hopefully because this is children's it will be a little bit different. Week 3 is the first week that we're going to be looking at Victorian children's literature, and the first thing we're reading for that is Complete Nonsense by Edward Lear. Edward Lear is famous for his rhyming and poems, and he wrote The Owl and the Pussycat, which you can see on the front cover, which was the only one of his things that I was familiar with because I remember hearing that as a child. The first section of this book is a lot of just limericks. I've had to put it down for a bit because it was driving me a bit mad. I'm not really too sure what we're going to get out of analysing them, but it will probably be interesting because, as it says on the cover, some of it is literally complete nonsense. The second thing that we have to read for that week is something that I finished just yesterday, and that is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I read this book when I was a child and it was really nice to visit it again. It's one of my favourite stories, I think, just because it holds so much nostalgia with me because I did experience this story first time when I was really young. There's just something so dreamy and magical about the whole world of Wonderland, and I definitely think I'm going to be rewatching the Disney animation for this week as well so I can relive the story all over again. Week 4 is also Victorian children's literature, and we're doing 2 more books for that week, the first of which being The Water Babies by Charles Kingsley. From the blurb of this I've gathered that it's about a boy who's an orphan and a chimney sweep, and he ends up in a girl's bedroom one day, and from that he like runs away and ends up in some river. Not really sure, but this is like a children's classic that I think a lot of people might have read when they were younger. I just never did, so I think it will be interesting to experience it for the first time as an adult. And next for that week is something else that I haven't read that is also really popular and I feel like a lot of people will have read before, and that is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I feel like I'm probably very unusual in the fact that I don't really have any knowledge of this story at all. I've never read it, but I've also never seen any adaptations of it in any format, so I'm interested in going into it for the first time because all that I know about it is pirates. Week 5 is the week that I'm most excited about, and that is YA. This got moved from the last week of term for a reason that I'll talk about in a minute, and the thing that I think I'm most excited about isn't really the books because I mean, I probably could have given many recommendations of YA books to read, but I'm just really interested in seeing what other people's takes on YA are and what they think YA means and what they think some like popular YA books are. I'm not sure if people are as widely read in YA as I am, so I just think that will be really interesting. So as I said, this week on the module actually got moved, and the reason for that is because we're going to now be reading Buffalo Soldier by Tanya Landman. We were originally going to be reading Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman, but it got changed to this because apparently our seminar tutor and the module convener has some sort of connection or knows the author. So the author, Tanya Landman, is actually going to be coming in to campus fabulous, and she's going to be sitting in on our seminars. I think we're going to be discussing the book with her and like the themes and stuff. So that's really cool because I've met authors before, but I've never met them in that sort of seminar environment. That's going to be a completely new experience, but a really exciting one as well. So although I was looking forward to reading Noughts and Crosses, because again I've never read that, I'm glad that it's changed to this now, and this is something that I've considered picking up in Waterstones before but never got round to it, so it's a good excuse to be able to finally read it. The other book that we're going to be reading for that week is on the fantasy side of YA, and that is Redshift by Alan Garner. Now, I am not a massive fantasy person, but I feel like I could have probably recommended like so many fantasy things. I don't know if I just haven't heard of this and it's some sort of classic for people who really like fantasy, but it just seemed like a really odd one. I'm not sure, maybe it's just not that talked about anymore. All that I know about this is that it's fantasy, and that isn't normally my sort of thing, but it's really short, so hopefully I'll be able to get through it quickly. If you're into fantasy, do let me know in the comments if you've read this and if it's something that's like really famous, because I just might not know about it. Week 6 is going to be children's comics and annuals, so I don't have any of that with me. So moving on to week 7, that's going to be the British school story. So obviously we're going to be reading lots of books that take place in schools. The first one being a boys' school, and this is Eric or Little by Little, A Tale of Rosalind's School by Frederick W. Farrer. I don't know anything about this, but if it's set in a school, hopefully I'll enjoy it, because that's one of my sort of like buzzwords that I normally find myself enjoying when it comes to books. Not sure about the boys' school aspect of it, might not be my thing. The other book that we're reading for that week I'm looking forward to a million times more, and that is First Time at Mallory Towers by Enid Blyton. I grew up on Enid Blyton probably just as much as I grew up on Jacqueline Wilson, because my mum used to read her books when she was younger and really encouraged me to do so as well. And both of her school stories, being this and the Twins at St Clair series, those were my absolute favourites. So I was so excited when I saw Mallory Towers on the reading list. I'm really excited to be back in this school and this world, and although we do only have to read the first one of the series, maybe if I have a bit of time I'll be able to delve a bit more into it and read some of the others as well, or maybe even pick up one of the Twins at St Clair's books, because I think I enjoyed those ones even more so because I loved the twin element of it. But yeah, this is going to be so exciting to revisit. The following week is Edwardian children's literature, and we have 3 things to read this week. The first of which being The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. As you can see here, I've got the whole collection, but The Tale of Peter Rabbit is literally, let me see, 38 pages long, and the writing is like this, and there's pictures. So it's not going to take me long. I'm probably going to end up reading the whole thing because I don't want to like waste the fact that I've got this whole book full. I definitely read Beatrix Potter as a child as well and really loved it. I don't really remember that much about it though, but I think it was quite magical and cute. So this will be a really nice, easy read. Next for that week is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I'm pretty sure this was one that I read when I was younger, but again, I don't really have any memory of it other than the characters of like Mr. Toad and the mole and the rat and the badger, I want to say. This is just a really classic children's story, so I can definitely see why it's on the course, and it should be another enjoyable one. And finally for that week we have to read The Railway Children by E. Nesbit. I don't think I've ever read this, but I definitely saw the film as a child and really loved it. Like, I had a minor obsession with that film, so it'll be really cool to read the book and see how that compares, and I definitely think I'm going to rewatch the film again because it has been years since I saw that. I don't think I've seen it since I was a little girl, so it'll be interesting to see if I enjoy it as much as I remember enjoying it. The next week is Interwar children's literature, and the first thing that we have to read for that is The Sword and the Stone, which comes from this The Once and Future King collection sort of thing by T.H. White. I'm pretty sure I'm quite familiar with the way the story in this goes, but I've never read it. I'm not always a massive fan of stories that take place in the period that this deals with, so I'm a bit skeptical about this one, but I don't think it's too long. The other thing that I have to read for that week I am really excited about, and that is The House at Pooh Corner by A.A. Milne. I loved Winnie the Pooh when I was younger, so I'm so excited to be able to revisit it. Most of these books I actually bought second hand, but I had to get myself a nice new copy of this one because I just wanted it to keep for my shelves for when I've done with the course. I just love all the coloured illustrations, and I haven't visited these characters in so long, so I definitely want to read this one really soon and probably watch some of the movies again as well because they were so good. For the next week we're doing late 20th century children's literature, and one of the ones that we have to read is Watership Down by Richard Adams. I really don't know where this has gone because I definitely ordered it along with all of the others and I don't think it ever arrived in the parcel, which is very annoying, so I'm going to have to find a way of getting my hands on the copy somehow. But I haven't read this either when I was younger. It's another one that's quite a classic tale that everyone seems to have read or know about, and I haven't. So again, I'm just really intrigued to see what it's like experiencing it for the first time at my age now. And the second thing that we've got to read that week is Haroun and the Sea of Stories by Salman Rushdie. I've never read anything by Salman Rushdie before, and to be honest, I don't really know what this is about because it's like the last week of term, so I haven't really looked that far ahead. But hopefully it will be coming in a wrap up soon because I'm really aiming to get all of these read really early in the year because they're all short and I don't really have an excuse this year to not get through them all. So those were all the books that I've got to show you, as the final week of term is picture books, and I think they're just going to be given to us in the seminars. We haven't been told to buy any or read them beforehand, but I know we'll be doing things like The Very Hungry Caterpillar and things like that, which will be very exciting as well, and just a really nice way to end my last ever module, I guess. So yeah, that was a bit of an overview of my children's literature module. I have really high hopes for this module. I think it's going to be a good one. Some of the books I'm a bit more sceptical about, but we also have the opportunity this year to write on books that aren't on the module reading list. So for example, I could do Roald Dahl, Jacqueline Wilson. We also have an assessment where we have to formulate our own reading list for children, which I'm really looking forward to. Like, I'm thinking it's going to be the most enjoyable assessment I've ever had because it's basically just book recommendations, which I think I can do. That was everything for today. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, whether that be as a child or as an adult, and let me know what you thought of them. Or if you're a student at university as well, let me know what modules you're studying this semester and if you've got anything that you're looking forward to reading or getting to do this term. Other than that, that is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you will have a great day and I will see you again next time. Bye!